Hardy Construction.
What's up, everybody? It's Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/hardyconstruction, as well as facebook.com/thehardyconstruction with your hosts, Comp and
Malo.
And today's film is
City of the Living Dead.
City of the Living City of the Living Dead is a 1980 film directed by Lucio Fulci. It's about a reporter and a psychic race to close the gates of hell after the suicide of a clergyman causes them to open, allowing the dead to rise from the grave. Although I think there's something more than that.
I liked your little accent there. That was good.
Thank you. So this film is about. How does this film start out, Danny? Let's set up this great, fantastic opening.
It starts out with a priest hanging himself.
Do you think it's because Sunday school was closed in their area? Oh boy! Whoa!
I have a theory about who the evil spirits are.
Oh, do you?
We'll get into it later.
So this priest is walking around very despondent, and he's walking around this, and they clearly show the
He's
word.
upset. He's having a bad day.
I'd say, and it's stated that they're in Dunwich, which I think is in New England, right?
I don't know.
Yes, I think it is because that's H.P. Lovecraft area, Dunwich. I remember the word Dunwich because...
It'd be in Italy?
No. Because everybody was talking English, remember?
Yeah, but it looked like it could have been dubbed.
The whole movie is dubbed. I think they just didn't walk around with microphones back then in films. But Dunwich, I believe, is a new... Because H.P. Lovecraft wrote a book, or a short story called The Horror of Dunwich, or the Dunwich Horror, excuse me. And if you're familiar with any H.P. Lovecraft stuff, it's about what the hell is the word? We just talked about it. Existentialism. Dimensional crashing shit. Anyway, he's walking around this the cemetery, and there's one huge giant cemetery block which they had a lot of time to write on. I wonder whose grave this was. It says, "The soul that pines for eternity shall outspan death. You dweller of the twilight void, come Dunwich."
Sounds like some asshole.
Sounds like that was the English lit major that died. That's where they buried him. He was an asshole. Anyway, so
the only thing he's known for is that asshole quote.
So this priest is walking around this. He's very despondent, very sad looking. Whoa, he's saying a guy in his 50s, 40s, late 40s, mid 40s,
mid 40s.
He's walking around. He's got a
or good looking mid 50s.
Yeah, he's not a bad looking guy. He goes and he hangs himself. At the time that this is going on, you hear some cool, of course, Italian rock and roll music going on.
Yeah, it's like Pink Floyd sounding to make.
I will say one thing that's jarring about this film is that they do not know how to let one song segue from one scene to the other. The song will just cut right off, right into the next shot. And it'll just like a regular scene will happen. Anyway, so this priest, while he's contemplating suicide, he's not contemplating, he's doing it. It cuts to New York City, or as the Italians would say, New York City. And there's a psychic... There's a psychic little shenanigans going on with this one young lass and her very strange...
Everybody overacts when they get scared in this.
I think that's just the way they sold the movie. Like, the director was probably like, more, with his fingers pressed together in that very stereotypical Italian way. And the psychic, I believe, was her name Mary, right? Yeah, Mary was the psychic girl who's having these visions of this guy committing suicide. He hangs himself off the tree. The death of this...
And then she sees the city, and it's like the City of the Living Dead is what she sees.
Right. So
that's the name of the movie.
The actions of this priest killing himself opens up a interdimensional hell void or something.
And how does that happen? Because he did it on All Saints Day or before All Saints Day, or
something? It's opening up just a very bit. No, what can I say? I mean,
the town was built on a witchcraft, so it must be in like Massachusetts or something. They keep saying it's the original Salem or something.
Right. So I mean, it's obviously something happened.
Yes, obviously it wasn't Italy, but yeah, I know he's Italian.
His actions of
dubbing is so bad that it could have been Italian with English dubbing.
I watched their mouths very closely, so I could see that they were all speaking the same actual language of what they said. But the actions of this priest killing himself opens up a crack, I guess I would say, to hell or something.
He opened up the children's crack.
But that crack will completely open as soon as it hits All Saints Day. Why that is, I don't know. I mean, I don't even remember when All Saints Day is.
That's the day when the living, the dead take over the living, I should say.
So once
not the other way around.
Priest kills himself, goes back to New York City. The psychic Mary goes into convulsions and dies.
And then there's like the most annoying looking woman in the world is like her mom, I guess.
No, I think that's her friend, her psychic friend.
That woman, I don't know. You know, there's just some people you want to punch in the head.
She sort of looks like. She sort of looks like Orphan Annie. After like a whole bunch of years, like just
like Carol Burnett. Her face was like turned into rubber and run over with a car.
Yeah, she has those big, wild, crazy eyes, and everybody's overacting and stuff. So they bring in, which is pretty cool. They bring in black cop because I didn't think that was allowed in the '70s to have a black police officer. I thought that was still racist back then.
They said black cock. I was like, what the hell is he talking?
That's what I mean. That's so you didn't notice. If you looked at the bottom of the screen, that's how he arrested people. He had his dick hanging out of his zipper.
Oh, right, and they just see it, and they're like,
he's like, let me get my billy club. And he just knocks people over the head. So this lady dies, and then they call the cops in, and the cops are there trying to see what's going on, and some magic trick happens in the background.
Yeah, well, I kind of like how bad it is.
No, I know, the movie's fun. I like the movie. Apparently the movie, all the psychics were like junkies or whatever, people that got arrested before, so the cops were like, what's going on here? And I would think that the cops would play a central role in this movie, but realized shortly that Dunwich is the main focus of the film, and so they have these New Yorker characters here for about the first 15 minutes of the film. It really is one of those kind of, it's like a 70s climactic horror kind of scale. You know what I mean?
Very like, it's so bad that it's like very lovably good in a way.
Right, in that sense. And there's a guy, I swear to God, his name is Peter Bell in the film. He's played by Christopher George. I thought it was Joe Piscopo. He looked just like Joe Piscopo, and I was looking to see if he was related to Joe Piscopo, like if he was his father. But I mean, he would have been the same. He would have been probably 20 years younger if he was in this film. He looks like the fucking guy. I was like, that's Joe. I couldn't get out of my head. And not that I have some sort of obsession with Joe Piscopo, but...
You're obsessed with Joe Piscopo.
All right. I am, maybe. So then this guy is a investigative journalist, and he found out that a woman died in a very suspicious way. I don't know who the fuck tells him. I mean, who called him to tell him that happened? I guess he must have a police scanner or something. Cops tell him to bug off. One of them is playing with his... with his nightstick. You could tell it's the 70s.
How could they not, like, they see fire come out of the ground, go in reverse like 4 times. How could he doubt it?
I love that effect, how you could tell he just reversed the image and did it forward. Like,
oh yeah, it's very clear.
I mean, if I saw fire come out of the floor, I'd be like, what the fuck? You know, and so they went to go downstairs, and you can't see an origin of, there's no hole in the floor, it's just fire.
There's a burn mark that, like, it probably came out of, but, like...
No, I think that was just somebody fucked up the set, and that was it. Somebody just like, oh, shit. Keep it in! You think,
it's a good!
It's a good! You think Lucio Fulci were, like, dressed in a red and blue Italian plumber's outfit? Mustache. And he would eat mushrooms every morning. Oh, it's a me, Lucio Fulci!
He'd have his assistant director, like, in a green outfit.
And every weekend he would go to pet stores because he had a need to step on turtles. And then every weekend he had to save his fucking girlfriend because it was
Pete would constantly be coming there because of all the turtles that he's killed.
Yeah, right. And he'd go down through the sewers and he'd smell like shit. Anyway.
And he'd run around under the clouds like expecting spiky balls to fall on him and like in fear.
And a turtle in a floating cloud just dropping them on him with fishing pole. So anyway, the film jumps back and forth between Dunwich and New York City. They could have just easily set the New York characters in Dunwich as well, because Dunwich doesn't look like some kind of hick town. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess it's just the idea that like these people have no reason in the world to know of this place, but they had a psychic vision.
Yeah, I guess so. So we're introduced to another character who is not a professor, a psychiatrist, right?
Is it Bob? No, Bob's
a goofy guy. I think it's Jerry, played by Carlos Domingo.
Bob, he really got a bad rap in this one.
Bob. I'll get to Bob. I feel bad for Bob. But
all
anyway,
he is he's just some like goofy teenager, and
he had 1980s autism before it was. Any character who acts strange in a film, I'm gonna say that it's autism, and that's how they.
Well, what's his face always said, Dario Argento. Every character he has autism.
You can look at Goonies and think that Sloth has autism, and then it'll make sense. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
Just layer autism on everybody from every movie that acted strange, and then you'll see a sympathetic.
It's all that red 40 and the the pesticides and shit that they're putting in the food.
Could be that and the what is that thing that Jenny McCarthy says that you shouldn't get flu shots because it'll give your kids autism.
Yeah, that too.
You fucked Jim Carrey a couple of times, all of a sudden you're a genius. Anyway,
I've never gotten a flu shot, and as long as I can remember, anyway. And
I thought you were gonna say you never fucked Jim Carrey, but
I have done that.
Oh, good. I always wonder, does Jim Carrey make wacky faces when he's fucking?
He probably becomes the mask character.
His dick turns green.
What's the song that he sings?
Cuban Pete?
Yeah, he sings that.
Cuban Peter.
Cuban Pete. And he's dancing around.
And I like to beat my meat. He's like that.
As he's fucking her.
Anyway, so we're introduced to Bob, who's giving and I'm gotta say, he's very pissed off. He's not a very good psychiatrist. He's giving a session to a woman.
No, I said it was Bob, and you said no, his name was
I'm sorry, Jerry. Excuse me. So Jerry's given a psychiatrist evaluation to this young woman.
A very typical bad '70s actor. Is how I described him.
He looks like a '70s neighbor. He doesn't look like a creep, but he just kind of looks like a general '80s guy. Though it's not '70s, but it's an '80s film. Although I'm sure it was made in 1970 something.
80s, so yeah, it is like a '70s film still.
So he has this kind of small fro and a beard, mustache, kind of bitchin' looking guy. You'll see him now in Hoboken or like Brooklyn somewhere. You know what I mean? It's just like one of those guys.
Yeah, the looks come back now. They call them hipsters.
So he's giving this evaluation to this lady, Mary, who's freaking out about some fucking bullshit in her life. It was probably somebody fingered her in the butt. But it's so funny how bad he is of a psychiatrist that this other woman comes in. I think it was Amy?
Yeah, he's like kissing his girlfriend.
He's talking to her. He's just that reminds me, I had to go see some like counselors when I was young and stuff. And the counselor would just stop. He'll be like, hold on for a second. He'll take a phone call for 15 minutes out of like 30-minute session talking to them. It was a great time. People really care about each other. It's really good stuff. So she says she has to go off. Who's that? Was a girl named Amy or something? Because I know Mary was the...
I don't know what the hell her name is, but she went with Bob.
Whatever, the hottest chick in the film.
Fucking like 20, and he's like 40. What's with that?
Dude, that's how it always is.
Yeah, but he's like
that's how it is.
Like her dad.
So anyway, Jerry's girlfriend, I guess, is another psychiatrist, and she's extremely hot. And she's like, "Oh, I can't see you tonight. I'll see you tomorrow because I have to go speak with Bob."
Oh, is she a psychiatrist?
I assume because she's gonna either that or she's a welfare person because she's going to see him about treatment. That's what's implied.
Oh, I kind of thought she was going to hang out with him because she's like friends.
Who the
with
fuck
him.
would hang out with Bob? Let's get to Bob in a second.
He's not that bad. I mean, he's just a guy.
Okay. So
he
Bob
gets needful screwdrivers in his head.
Bob is this guy who has magic powers to turn a fucking a love doll. He'll just throw it on the floor and it'll inflate itself. How the fuck did that happen? What's going on? He had a love, like, you know, those 80s love dolls. It was like compacted, like, you know, if you had vacuum sealed it. He threw it on the floor, and with the worst reverse, winding, it turned into a love doll. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? They couldn't cut 5 seconds of him blowing into a tube and making it into a woman. Obviously, Bob's a pervert, but that part stuck with me because it made no sense to me. Like, how do you throw
a lot of things in this movie?
You know what it was like? It was like he threw a Pokemon ball, like a Pokeball on the floor.
Right.
And then it just sprouted up. And, like, you've got whore. Like, he's just got a whore or something. And he's, like, a real pervert. He has all the sex porno shit in his house and whatever.
You're not even that bad a guy. You're making him much worse than he is.
Well, we can look into Danny's mind now and see what he does on weekends. You have to see that scene. You have to see him throw a fucking a balloon with no air in it. And I thought that was a ghost that did that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's such a weird sequence.
There's like no point.
I can't comprehend how that happened in the film. Like, Do you know what I mean? Like, it stopped me. It didn't make any sense. Like, I'm not a guy who needles everything for the stupid shit, but that
Yeah, no, I know, but it is like.
I thought it was like Satan that made that doll. I thought the doll was gonna come alive and kill him, but no.
Right.
I guess that's normal to him. He's able to throw something with no air on
That's
the
part
floor.
of his autism. He's like the Rain Man.
He's like Akira from the Akira movie. He's able to mentally blow air into a fucking doll and have sex with it.
Exactly.
So anyway, he tries to go and has sex with his doll, but apparently his house is haunted, or wherever that rape shack that he owns, and you can see the effects of Dunwich are happening, of the suicide of the priest. So why don't we get into
I mean, what would you classify these things as? Zombies, ghosts?
I know I would say they're zombies, but I would say they're zombies in the line of H.P. Lovecraft, kind of dark dimensional portals to hell kind of zombies.
So they're more like demons.
Yeah, I would say so. Because this is, I mean, zombies attack people for sustenance. These are like demons that attack people just to be malicious.
And they don't even attack. They kind of just like, I mean, they do.
They will fuck you up. The demons
They rip,
in this movie,
but they stare at you too.
They do. They're doing it. This is another thing.
They have psychic powers.
There's a part where they find like one of the characters. Bob is with I think it's not Mary. Bob is with some other lady, whoever the lady he was giving the psychic treatment to. They found a corpse of a woman in there. They go out of the room. They come back. She's not there anymore. She's walking around the house. They walk out of the scene, and you see the zombies' feet hiding behind stuff. Why would you hide if you're a monster from hell? What's the point?
There is no point.
Right,
Again,
you see her
lots
feet.
of silly scenes.
Why would you do that? You're a monster from hell. What do you care?
They're not. See, I think that what's his face, Father Thomas, is like the mastermind, like controlling them all, like puppets.
Yeah, but what point would it serve for a monster to hide behind a clothing rack? Like, what's the point?
Maybe because it was outnumbered. There were two of them now.
To do what? This monster's clearly killed anybody who was next. They have power to just touch the back of your head and crush it. I mean, these motherfuckers were savage.
Squeezed out brains and shit.
There was no question that these were the most powerful monsters I've seen in a film.
Now, you know that maggot scene?
That was real, right?
Those are all real maggots as far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, apparently one of the actors had a problem with the director, so they replaced his lunch with a bag of maggots.
Oh.
I don't know, can't you eat maggots? I heard you can
like that scene in Lost Boys. I'd fucking puke my guts out.
I've seen enough bizarre foods to not have a problem with eating maggots, like grilling it up and stuff.
Are you fucking crazy?
Another weird thing about this film is that people don't know how to bury people in Dunwich or New York City, because one character dies. She gets the woman who gets killed supposedly by Bob. She gets killed by a monster. She gets something happens to her. She goes to go. The lady we were talking about before went to go see Bob, but she gets killed. Bob runs off frightened.
And the main character, Mary, when she died, she'd get an autopsy.
That's what I was getting to, because I'm saying, the girl who got killed supposedly by Bob, because people in the town think Bob is some sort of rapist criminal because he almost tried to molest some girl in the woods, and take oranges with apples, people, and she's dead, right? They do the whole autopsy. They drain her blood, whatever. They fill you up with whatever that shit is that you need to have in your body, like in formaldehyde.
It's orange juice.
She's laid down in her coffin with a goofy expression on her face, with her mouth open, with her teeth exposed. Like, won't they, sew your mouth closed so you can't? You know what I mean?
They sew your eyes and your mouth closed.
They pull your eyes out of your head and they replace it with something, and they do all that shit.
Because supposedly the gases in your body will blow out the eyes and stuff. The formaldehyde will leak out of the holes in your body.
So just like that guy we saw on the street, remember that overweight black guy with his eyeball?
Please,
Me and Danny were walking down the street once, and I saw this like African American guy, and his eyeballs, like, I guess it was natural.
Oh God, no! Come on!
It was natural for his eyeballs to protrude out of his sockets, and they had like you see the veins and everything. He looked like,
it was like the worst thing. It looked like a fucking like blood orange coming out of his head.
Yeah, they were huge. They were like comically huge, not comically, but cartoonishly huge eyeballs popping out.
Oh no, there was nothing comical about
it. And he looks like, after when people drown and you see their body like a week later, and their eyes, the pressure pushes their eyeballs out of their head.
Oh.
I'm only saying this to bother Danny. Anyway, so I saw him and I was like, Danny, look. And Danny looked like he got struck by lightning. It's hilarious. I felt bad for the guy. And then it was funny, a week later.
I feel bad for the guy too, but I can't look at him. No
and it's
way.
funny, months later, I saw him at this movie theater I was working with, and he had these shades on, and I could only tell. I was like, how do I know this guy? And then I saw from the side, and his eyeballs were basically touching the back of the shades. He was like, oh, what time did this movie start? And I was like, this motherfucker's gonna explode. Anyway.
Oh,
so this one lady who went to go see Bob, the whole subplot of Bob being the I guess terrorizer of people in Dunwich, they know that people in Dunwich know that Father Thomas is dead. They just don't know that. They think that Bob is the one.
They didn't know it opened the portal to hell.
So anyway, they put this girl in the
How
funeral.
stupid are they? I mean, it makes sense.
This girl that Jerry's dating, Jerry's there with his little brother, with her little brother John, and her really old parents. I guess they fucked really old, right? To have little John.
I guess so.
And
I mean, you saw that woman though. She's got something smelly between her legs.
Jesus. And John's acting of crying is probably some of the best because he's just shaking his shoulders up and down like he's doing the Harlem Shake. And
I like
crying.
his last scene too.
Yeah, we'll get to that shit, whatever that was. So anyway, this lady is her body, and then with the woman who Mary, who died in New York City, the psychic. They didn't even take anything out. They just put her in the fucking grave. Like, is that some sort of religious thing? Because is that a Jewish thing, right? Don't they just throw people? They don't let them do anything to them?
We don't cremate, and
aren't you supposed to bury it within a week, right?
You're supposed to bury it immediately, or I'm stupid. I should know this. You're supposed to bury it quickly, and you're supposed to leave it in a box that will naturally rot in the earth. Like, so, you want it to rot, basically. I don't think you use formaldehyde or anything.
Yeah, so maybe that's what she was. She was Jewish.
I don't think she was Jewish.
Oh, I guess not. So anyway, there's a whole sequence where she actually comes to life. It was a pretty intense scene. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought she came back to life because she was a zombie. Because shit like this happened.
They drag it out. This movie could be an hour shorter, I swear to God.
Probably, yeah, because they really do drag a lot of stuff out.
That scene of her, they went back and forth between her clawing at the thing to him thinking he might have heard something but not sure, like fucking 4 times.
I enjoyed that sequence because she's clawing her way out, but she does the thing that drives me nuts when you break your fingernails scratching something and it bleeds and stuff like that. I thought she was zombieing out and coming out, but you know, this stuff happens in Africa and Brazil and shit like that. They have actually had funerals for people where the people will wake up in the middle of the funeral.
Ugh.
And I'm like, what kind of doctors do they have around the world? Then you realize, okay. Anyway, so she gets out and the cops...
The
what?
Hitchcock episode about that.
And the reporter hooks up with the psychic because they put 2 and 2 together and figure out this horror is happening and there's all this crazy shit going on. They decide
Get it? Horror. Deconstruction.
They decide to take a trip up to Dunwich to find out what's going on. I don't know what other signs are going on that, you know, I guess it's her. They took her word alone that this was happening, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So they decide to go to Dunwich. Imagine.
I mean, I think he kind of was doing the Chinese philosophy of I saved your life, therefore I got to take care of you.
Is that a Chinese philosophy? Oh, right, yeah, it is. In the news, yeah. Like, did you see that? No, I don't want to talk about it. It's just depressing what I was just going to talk about.
Is it something about Chinese people?
No, it was this news report about this little 2-year-old toddler that got run over by 2 cars and like her guts.
Oh no, that in China and they didn't help him, right? Or
yeah, her. Right. Because apparently, if you go and help somebody, then the government says you have to pay for them. So what? I don't know which kind of Chinese rule you're talking about, but that's the one that I saw.
I was saying just like an honor system, not a leave little kids to get hit by cars system.
But I don't know. Anyway, so that's not funny at all. The girl dies. It was sad. Thanks,
it's kind of funny, but. No,
but,
it's horrible.
So I can't wait to. I'm gonna loop that what you just said. So they go up to Dunwich, and meanwhile, the psychiatrist who is Jerry is dealing with Mary. No, not Mary. Mary's a psychic.
Mary, weird.
He's fucking No, because her name is Mary. In the film, at the end,
Mary. You're saying Mary.
At the end of the film, I'm thinking of what the little fucking kid says. He goes, "Jerry, Mary." He says it like that, and now it's stuck in my head.
Like Boston.
What?
He's from Massachusetts. He has a stupid accent.
Okay.
No offense to our listeners from Massachusetts.
Nobody listens to this show. So Jerry is hanging out with, I don't know, who does he hang out with? He hangs out with some lady, whatever. She gets killed too. But what do you think about the monsters in this film, and the horror stuff? Like, actually, get into Bob. What do you think about the Bob subplot? Was it point?
It's stupid, but there's a lot of stupid shit in this movie. But I like it.
We're over explaining stuff that you could have chopped to half an hour, and the movie would be an hour long.
Right.
It's really good directing. I like the way it looks.
I like everything. I just wish it wasn't so slow. I get what he's going for, but
right. It's supposed to be this creeping dread horror, and
the music never stops, which is kind of annoying.
Unless it goes in between another scene where somebody be running with this hard pumping rock soundtrack, and then it'll just cut off and have somebody eating a sandwich in the next sequence. It's very strange.
Right.
And
yeah, it's kind of annoying, the music, a little bit after a while.
The Bob subplot is obviously this weird guy, and I actually felt really bad. Well, obviously you're supposed to feel bad for him, but
He's a fucking drill through his head,
and that's a really cool special effect. It's probably one of a lot of people are still wondering how they did the special effect, and if it really happened. But the guy's obviously in other movies. It's funny. There's an attack on a couple. Getting off of Bob for a second. A couple in the car. You know, remember that car where the girls?
I consider that one of my top 10 favorite scenes of any movie.
It's
actually,
pretty grotesque.
When I saw it as a kid, it was great.
Because the father Thomas's ghost appears to this couple that are trying to make out of the car. What a cheap boyfriend! He could have just fucked her in his apartment or something like that. So she sees the ghost of Father Thomas, and he proceeds to stare at her, and then she starts throwing up her organs, which is pretty cool. Although I think they're smaller than how a real human's organs are. Apparently, the actress really swallowed that and regurgitated it for the film, which is horrendous.
That's fucking awesome.
And then they'll obviously cut up to a dummy mouth shooting more organs out, but it was really cool seeing the sound effects are really disgusting, like that kind of real vomiting sound effect.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the guy in the car, he's played by an actual director who did Cemetery Man.
I'm telling you, that maggot scene, though, I don't care. You could pay me $10 million. I would not let maggots be rained on me by a fan.
But I think you're mistaking maggots with, like, what are those things that suck blood, like leeches?
No, I know what a maggot is.
So what's wrong with maggots? So what? It's a movie.
Maggots are like death. They're like, we're supposed to be disgusted by them.
I've seen too much bizarre foods. I don't care. Maggots are maggots.
Maggots are fucking like fly eggs. Oh god, ew, Jesus Christ, man.
Imagine they taste like popcorn. They probably taste delicious.
Oh.
So anyway, you just put them in your teeth, and then you see the white pus pop out. It probably
oh god.
It probably tastes like
whatever the hell flesh it's been eating.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, so going back to Bob, he gets a nice big, because he's going to sleep in some girl's car, and she goes in and she's like, "Oh, you want to smoke pot?" And, she's like a real liberal 79, 80s girl. And her father comes in and he just murders Bob. Like he's
so like over the top about it.
He makes sure that this motherfucker has a drill through his head. It's murder. I mean, he murders the guy because either he thinks that Bob killed all those people and he was trying to molest his daughter. And I was mad that nothing happened to that guy.
How do you molest someone the same age as you? I guess
right.
so.
Right, yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
I was just mad. I was mad nothing happened to that guy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
hopefully he would have gotten killed by one of the demon zombies
like
or whatever.
The way that he killed Bob was like, just, there was no question it was premeditated. You just see him, he's pushing his head down into this drill line, and he just pushes him, and that scene is even longer, almost more longer than the girl clawing herself out of the fucking coffin.
That scene, I actually didn't mind the length of it because it is like, whoa.
Yeah, it was very. I thought he was gonna flip around, and then Bob would kill the guy, and then Bob would become a bigger part of the storyline. But nope, he was there just a subplot for that gory sequence, which was top-notch special effects on their part. And apparently, this is part of Lucio Fulci's Death Trilogy, which is. Has The Beyond, which I hear is one of the best zombie or demon movies ever that came out.
Well, that's one of his, I think that's like his best movie that he ever made, supposedly.
No, apparently it's Zombie.
I saw Zombie 3, and that is a terrible movie. I don't know how Zombie is.
He made Zombie, where it's a zombie fighting a shark in the water, so that's the most famous Italian zombie film. No question about it. The poster, if you've seen it, you know what it is. It's like a face with half an eye coming out, or no eye in one socket.
Well, I've seen the third one. Did he make that too?
I don't know which ones he's done. I know he did Zombie.
Well, Zombie 3, but
Zombie was released as like a Night of the Living Dead Part 2 or some shit like that. It was released as that in Italy. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And he also did The House by the Cemetery, which would be the third part of this trilogy. I don't know whether they're linked together story-wise, Dunwich's evil is spread, I doubt it, but it's a pretty cool movie, except that it has some logical fallacies within it. Besides that, but I mean, it feels like a kind of it feels like an expanding horror film, but it's not anything deep.
Yeah, it's weird. And yeah, as a kid, I never really got it. Like, like what's happening? Why is that guy like a zombie, but he's not biting them? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But they're not zombies. It's like supernatural. It's totally supernatural.
yeah, it was an excuse to kind of have these supernatural set pieces and gore, and
It's all like witchcraft shit, basically.
what do you think of little boy John running around frightened?
At the end,
Yeah,
it's fucking weird. I don't know how I liked it.
the way the film
Kind of did like it in a way, just because of how bizarre it is.
the way the film ends is that the characters kill. It's very lukewarm, kind of not that great of a finale way to kill a bad guy. They stab him with a cross inside this chasm of a tomb,
And then everybody goes on fire.
yeah, and all the zombies next to them burst into flames, and then they go back to, which is Mary and Jerry. That's how I remember it. They go upstairs. I mean, they climb out.
I feel bad that the other guy died.
That was like, I didn't expect that at all.
I really liked him. I was hoping. I don't give a shit about Jerry. I wanted the
Yeah,
other
how
guy
did Jerry become the fucking like all of a focal
Jerry's
point?
such like a bad asshole, like stupid, idiot, boring guy.
Yeah, the investigative reporter was awesome. They took that motherfucker out. Like I was shocked when they killed him. I was like, what? They just like, you just see the hand, the head ripping effects are awesome. And they just put the hand behind the brain and just like smash it closed. Like,
And everybody's like reactions are strange. I think it must be something with Italy or something. Because Argento does the same sort of thing. That like these terrible things are happening. Like you have a fucking maggots raining on you, and nobody's really caring that much.
There's a lot of reactions. My favorite reaction was when the psychic girl says something in the beginning, and then the camera pans to a guy to her left, and then he robotically just looks right, and then the camera moves to somebody. It's just a really weird movie.
Yeah, like people overreact to things that are really not that big of a deal.
And they use like the same scream like 3 times that this girl has, that Mary has when she's screaming and shit. Anyway, at the end of the film, they jump out of this, they walk out of this chasm. Jerry and Barry, or Mary, whatever the fuck their character's name is, and the little boy John, because his parents got massacred by the zombie version of Amy, or whoever the hell her name is. He's walking with 2 police officers, and as the little kid runs towards them, they're like, yeah, haha, laughing, and then you see like both their expressions drop. And I thought maybe those 2 cops became zombies or something, because they killed the guy after All Saints. I mean, during All Saints Day, they didn't kill him before it. That's another thing. You notice when they actually go to the cemetery at the very beginning, they could have taken care of all that shit. You know what I mean? Because they found the cemetery, the investigative
then they
reporter
left to
and
go
the
deal
psychic.
with the fucking murder.
Yeah, they left to go somewhere else to talk about something else.
Too. Like,
I was like, you got till midnight.
Now?
You got till midnight, and you're gonna talk about some bullshit, and then you get attacked by maggots. It serves you right. So anyway, the little kid's running towards him. He goes, Barry, Jerry, or Jerry, Mary. He starts running towards them, and then you hear the woman scream, and it like goes on a freeze frame.
I think it's supposed to just be like abstract, like.
And then you see a web or like vines in cheap animation, like 2D animation layered over the shot. Like,
do you think that Suspiria or this came first?
I never saw Suspiria, so I have no clue. But it does feel like that. Who's that director of Suspiria?
That's Argento too.
Argento feels like, I mean, all these directors have this kind of style.
Well, there's a maggot scene in that too, and I think they were real maggots. And I wonder, like,
hey, that's no way to talk about.
I'm sure these guys were like competition for each other because they're both like the biggest Italian horror guys.
Like Fulci, I guess, is known a lot for his suspenseful zombie stuff, and Argento is more for his art house kind of.
His what are they
women
called?
Getting raped by serial killers movies.
Giallo.
Giallo.
Yeah.
Which I think means yellow, and that's a type.
Yeah, it means yellow.
It's a type of.
I know this, considering I fucking lived in Italy for 3 months, but I didn't even learn the colors.
What a fucking dope. Anyway, what's your rating for this film?
Uh, I'm gonna give this movie just because it has one
In
of my
Italy,
favorite.
it's called Paura nella città del morti viventi.
Look at that.
Yay. Okay, what do you give it?
I'm gonna give this movie a 6.5 out of
Nice.
10. Puking out all of your organs.
I will give it a 6, also 6.5 out of 10.
Same.
Um,
Right? Cool.
Overpowerful monsters that can touch you and smash you, hiding behind closets or whatever the fuck they're hiding behind, dressers. Stupid shit.
Touch you and smash you.
Anyway, and the next film is Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue. So Danny,
But
what? Danny, what's the final word?
oh,
The horror deconstruction.